welcome to the Listen Up Podcast. I am joined by Locked On Seminoles, Tally Drake. What's up, bro?
What's going on, my guy? What's going on? Hopefully, be under better circumstances, but it's always good to be back on the Listen Up podcast.
You know what? They say it's the most dangerous podcast of all the FSU podcasts. It's the most dangerous FSU podcast out.
Okay. I say ours is, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Hey, how is everything going over there with the Locked On Nation over there? How's it going?
It's going good, man. It's going good. I'm also on Locked On ACC on Fridays with Candace Cooper. We basically do our best bets on Friday, talk about ACC as a whole. But Locked On Seminoles, we're growing. We're up to over 1,750 plus subscribers. So, folks, please go over to YouTube, like, share, subscribe. And then also our co-host Max Moody, he started his own venture called the Seminole Executive Brief as well. I think you know Max from Twitter Spaces. You'll follow him over there.
Yeah, me and Max, we go at it. But you know what? Max has some great points. I think I have some great points. So I actually don't mind the back and forth with Max, to be honest with you. It's pretty interesting takes he have every now and then. But
yeah, he's a big math guy, trust me.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I'm not going to argue with all these analytics. I'm not going to do it.
But hey, it backs up his point though. Like, it works if it works, man.
It works if it works. That's correct. You know me. I'm just a run-of-a-mill fan. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Run-of-a-mill fan. But we do appreciate everybody joining the show. If you have not, make sure you subscribe to the Listen Up podcast. We on Apple, iTunes, and wherever you listen. Please subscribe on YouTube. Put a gold nose in the comments. So, Tally, how did you feel about the game yesterday?
During the game, pretty livid. Ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think people, like I was saying before we started the show, was that losing to Wake Forest is worse because the name attached to the team.
Right.
But then after I rewatched it this morning and just saw certain things, I'm like, this team, I forgot how injured we were, mainly because of how we started off for the entire season. And one of the big things I told our listeners back at Locked On Seminoles was, don't look at this team through rose-colored glasses, mainly because all the red flags simply just look like flags. And right now, when you're down a Fabian Lovett, Jared Verse playing sparingly, and you lose 3 offensive linemen to the tackle spots, this is kind of the result that you kind of expect, right?
Yeah, I think people, this is weird, right? When you get away from all the trolling and all the guarded gold glasses and everything, you just take a huge step back and just look at it. I thought Wake was better than us before the season. After watching them play against Clemson, I thought they was better than us after that game also. And I think sometimes we look at these players, and because they've been around for a while, we think they're 99 good or 2013 good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes you do have to take a step back and look. Like when I watched when Wake played Clemson, people kept saying they couldn't run the football. And I agreed early in that game, they didn't run the football that well. But if you watch Wake towards the end of that game, when Clemson decided to go too high, Wake did run the ball pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that let me know if you don't stack the box against them, they can run the football. So they can attack you in different ways. I think what messed everybody up was, and it's messing everybody up across college football right now, these mid-major teams have so many transfers with so many older guys on them that when you play these Liberties, these Appalachian States, they're not that much different than a top 10, top 25 team. You know what I'm saying? They're not that much different than them. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
And I think that's what's kind of confusing everybody across the country. Like, well, how can A&M beat Miami and beat Arkansas, but they got beat by Appalachian State? Well, Appalachian State probably is not that much different than A&M currently, because they're, A&M is very young. And I just think with the weight, they got a lot of super juniors. I mean, those guys not even super seniors. People keep saying super senior like they're going somewhere. Like, they're going to be back next year. Like,
bro, they're old, man. They're old.
They are. They are old. Yeah, they are old.
I'm pretty sure Sam Hartman actually has one more year eligibility left, so he could be back for a 7th or 8th year. But you're right. Most of his team is comprised of 5th, 6th, and even 7th year seniors. I thought that was like a Shipley thing back in Texas back in the mid-2000s, but it is absurd how old, like not old, but like how experienced this team is.
Bro, they've been there for a while. They got offensive linemen there that's going into their 6th year this year, right? I think this is their 6th year. They got like 3 or 4 of those guys. And, I think somebody was saying that FSU stopped them in the second half. I thought Wake went into more of a shell because, quite frankly, Wake couldn't block us on the edges, I don't think, once their offensive lineman went down, because they've lost 2 tackles in the last 2 weeks, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
And I think they was just trying to run the clock out. And when it came time to run the clock out, bro, they went on like a 9-play, 14-minute drive. Like that drive was insane.
They just wanted to get the hell out of here with the win. I mean, they were up 28-7 after the second half started, and it's like when you lose the lineman, that's like, okay, listen, we need to keep my best players healthy. And also, I think that's when Jared Verse actually played a little more of the game. The pass rushing actually was still there. So to me, it's not like, I know people want to harp on how we held them 31 points. That is true. The second half adjustments always, I've never questioned Van Fuller for second half adjustments. More, I question it for the first half. But
right.
But 31-21, it's a little more of a deceiving score because it feels like they did lay off the gas a little bit, mainly because let's get the hell out of Dodge real quick.
Yeah. And I mean, and I always say this, a good running game is when you run when people know you're running. A good defense is getting stops when you got to get them. A good offense is scoring when you got to score. I just thought all three phases of that yesterday with FSU was not working. They didn't score when they needed to score. They didn't get off the field. They got off the field a couple times, but that you can't let them drive the ball that long down the field. Like you can't let them possess the ball that long when you got to get it back. And I thought Jordan Travis, I know his stats do look good. I don't think he played well yesterday, man. I just don't think he played well. I think he played I think I would take that Jordan Travis last year. But for this team this year, he got to play better in a game like that,
I mean, you have to. I mean, one of the things that David Wise, the co-host with me on Locked On Seminoles, said was that this is going to be kind of a showing out party for Jordan this game.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't play great, but also if you see the entire most of the first half, he kind of was running for his life. That reminded you from 2018, 2019, 2020 with him. So to me, overall, it's like he didn't play great. Now, the fumble he had, that was a really, really costly fumble because I remember it was inside our own 40 or inside our own 35, and that led to the score. It's inexcusable. Yeah. But overall, to me, he didn't have a great game, but also after the kind of stretch that Jordan has had, I don't expect him to have that kind of again, unless maybe hopefully we do need some pieces back, or also maybe we may need some shuffling along the offensive line because our tackles just were getting bullied for majority of the game, especially Darius Washington on the left side.
Yeah. He isn't healthy. He hasn't been healthy since he's been at Florida State. That's that's one of those sad stories because, if he went to a better program where he could sit for 2 years and then start playing football, he probably would be, really highly thought of. But, he came at Florida State at a time where he had to play as a 18-year-old undersized tackle. And he's just never been healthy. And he's never been able to really develop physically the way he needs to.
He's a tough kid, man. I mean, he came in, when he needed to do it. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Like, if he bulked up for an offseason, he can definitely be an all-conference lineman somewhere else, but like you're saying, like he's never had a full offseason to heal up or kind of prep up like we're giving Julian Armel the time right now to do, and hopefully we don't have to use him, but it might come to that point if we struggle against NC State also at Clemson as well.
Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway I have is you got to play Clemson, you got to play NC State. Those defensive lines are really good, and I don't know if we're going to be able to block them at all. If this offensive line looks the same exact way, comprised the same exact way, I don't think you're blocking them at all, period. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson's defensive line, I mean, they have the monsters on that D line. We had Cam Lemons, the bro on from Wake Forest. He's like, yeah, that defensive line's nasty. And not only are they nasty, but they get better as the game goes along. And you don't really hear that among like basically defensive linemen overall. And then NC State, Corey Durden kind of knows how our offensive line works. And that NC State
he's a captain over there.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, honestly. Like he's a good player, but like you just see how his career turned around and just transferring out, which shows what the world is good for people.
Yeah. So I don't, just watching them, and that's why I kind of felt like Wake was going to block us yesterday because they did block Clemson a majority of that game when they played against them, and I was just like, I didn't like the matchup. I did pick us to win because I thought we would get in a shootout with them. But like I said, they didn't. I thought FSU abandoned the run way too early. I thought they should have been running the ball a lot more in that game than they did early on. They didn't. They allowed number 40, who I don't think 40 is a great player, but that dude works his ass off over there. That number 40 from Wake Forest, he works his ass off over there, dude. He's giving it to you, bro. But yeah, man. But any other thoughts? Player of the game. Let's go ahead and just slide to the player of the game.
Player of the game for me, it's got to be Micah Pittman. I mean, if we're being honest, for us, if we're on our team, obviously for them, you can probably pick anybody on the defensive line, like probably like Kobe Turner, who was someone that we highlighted because that defensive line isn't elite, but you could definitely have one of the more higher pass rushing grades in the country, which is kind of interesting to me for a Wake Forest defense that we saw kind of struggle last year and kind of that has improved this year. Micah Pittman, though, like if he didn't jump on that fumble in the first half, this could have gone a lot uglier earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The balance of that game was tilting to a blowout for FSU. It really was, and I think that score, to be honest with you, was more indicative of a closer game than what it really was. Like,
Mhm.
just if you watch just the flow of the game, and something else that kind of bothered me about the game was that's the first game that I felt like Mike and Atkins, they've been so good together, man. That was the first game I felt like they was searching. They didn't have a complete plan. They was kind of threw off by what Wake was doing to them.
I could definitely see that. And I think it's also like it's also with all the personnel out too. You try to get a little. Sometimes like Mike, I can see getting a little too cute when it comes to play calling. You saw that a lot last season, but then Atkins with because I do agree with abandoning the run, but also they were getting so much penetration. The run blocking grades. I don't know if you looked at PFF, recently too. Like they were all below the 50s,
Mm,
and we were unable to give them any room to kind of play. I mean, Trey Benson had 4 carries for 10 yards.
yeah,
And because he's someone that basically you need to give him a full head of steam a little bit first. I
yeah.
mean, Trayshawn Ward, played effectively overall, but to me, it's like it was the first game that we kind of were like, okay, maybe Atkins and Micers need to go through a little more growing pains, but I mean, both of them, in my personal opinion, are still learning on the job as a whole at the Power 5 level.
Oh yeah, I think yeah, they're definitely and I think that's a big thing with the coach that we have. He is learning, man. And it's been I think we've got away with certain things in certain games because I think the players do play really, really, really hard. And I think when guys play hard, sometimes it can mask some deficiencies. I didn't understand, to be honest with you, I didn't understand why they did not force feed Johnny Wilson a little bit more. I understand they wanted to highlight Pittman
Mm-hmm.
this game, but I felt like when shit was starting to get kind of away from you a little bit, that they should have been targeting Johnny a little bit more. I mean, because a 50-50 ball with him is still better odds than trying to scan the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, with his height too, at 60-40, for being honest, not even 50-50,
Yeah,
he's so
yeah,
damn
yeah.
tall and long.
I mean, I know Wait wasn't. I know they wasn't calling pass interferences a lot, but I don't feel like we was forcing the issue enough to get those calls. To be honest with you, I don't think we forced the issue enough. I think if you're gonna throw the ball every three, I mean, you're gonna throw the ball to Johnny Wilson or the big tight ends once every 3-4 plays. I mean, referees they're not gonna call it every single time. You're not forcing the issue. I mean, Wait forces the issue on those pass interferences. I watched them against
They are
Clemson.
coached for that. They're
Yeah,
coached
they
for that.
coach for it. I mean, they force the issue on it. You can see their hands go flying up. Like as soon as you grab them, their hands go flying up. You like it's crazy how they do it. It's like it's
Bro,
insane,
that
man.
that PI on DJ Lundy with the tight end first. I'm not a big fan of having DJ Lundy down 20 yards downfield in coverage, but that PI where the tight end, you can literally see him grab DJ and then put his hands up to fall was just
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. It
yeah,
was, I mean, they're really coached really well with that. AT Perry, I think, was notorious known for that last year. Candace Cooper called him out on that immensely most of the year last year, but yeah, I mean, it's just basically you need to force the issue, and basically if you don't force feed Johnny Wilson enough because he is a matchup nightmare. I mean, we were having questions with him heading into the season where I was like, I think it'd be really good, but he doesn't have the production to back it up from Arizona State. But after 4 games, I'm like, just feed your. He's your alpha dog. He's your number one out there. So you
yeah.
have to give him the ball.
They got to do better with that. They got to do. That's something they got to highlight. When you get into big games against teams that match up better with you, you got to go to your X factor, man, and just force feed that X factor the ball. So I think they need to. I think he needs to get a little bit more simpler and force feed Johnny Wilson the ball a little bit more and play off of Johnny Wilson in the passing game, personally. But overall though, I'm not that upset about them. They 4-1. I thought at this point they would be around 3-2. I can't be so upset. You know what I'm saying? I can't be
No,
so
I
upset.
mean, I think I'm right there with you. I mean, we want to be upset because losing after being undefeated obviously is like the first loss always hurts the most,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that we weren't used to being this good for a little bit of time, but now Dave and I said that if we go 1-2 through this next stretch, that's honestly kind of basically where we ahead of schedule for what we thought was going to happen because I had us winning 7 games this season, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe even 8. But this stretch of games where you have Wake, NC State, and Clemson, 3 elite teams, 2 of them, all 3 of them vying for the Atlantic Division and possibly also the conference. Some of them are being CFP picks. This
Yeah.
is going to be a tough stretch overall. So to me, 4-1 right now, you can't be upset about it. And also, Wake, a lot of people, including myself and you, had us losing probably to Wake ending of the year.
Yeah, I had them losing a weight. I just, they brought back a lot of talent, man. That team they never get flustered, dude. They just,
I mean, Dave Clawson's a good coach.
he is a good coach. He is a good coach. And that wide receiver coach, I ain't gonna say we need to hire a wide receiver coach, but man, that dude, good God, man. And I was telling somebody, number 80 number 80 on their team is probably the better like pro prospect. That number 80,
Is that Donovan Green or Jamal Banks?
Banks.
Banks, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even get a dose of him yesterday, so I was kind of happy about that because I think he might actually be the better player than A.T. Perry long term. You know what I'm saying? So, whew, but yeah, that was ugly. Anyway, so my player of the game was, yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't really. I guess Pittman was the player of the game. They just pissed me. The defense pissed me off too because I'm gonna say this, man. I've been kind of critical of some of the D line because I don't think the D line, other than Fabo and Verse, McClendon's had spots, but I don't think they've played to the reputation that they had in the offseason, to be honest with you. And I felt that way about 3 or 4 games now, right? Robert Cooper need to be better, man. You're too old. You've been here long enough, man. You can't just get blocked like that over and over and over again on drives. You know, Robert Cooper was terrible. He's been kind of bad this year, to be honest with you.
He has been kind of underwhelming. That's a better way to put it. He's been underwhelming for the entire season. And it's the moment Fabian Lovett was injured, I was like, we're gonna actually find out how this defensive line actually plays. Because to me, Fabian Lovett is the main reason why the entire defensive line got hype. And they see Jared Verse after the first few games, like, okay, no, this kid is legit for real from Albany.
Yeah.
To me, Darren McClendon has shown flashes, but has been inconsistent. Now you have nicer younger pieces like Joshua Farmer. I thought had a pretty good game yesterday. Right. Patrick Payton, actually have really high hopes for him too, especially when you saw that Ben move he had against Boston College last week. But then you have the reserves right now with Malcolm Ray is playing well, but he's also getting banged up. You have Jared Jackson also not getting pushed on the inside either. Then Robert Cooper, who's one of your captains, has been underwhelming. So this defensive line, that's probably the main focus point for why we lost the game yesterday, because we gave Sam Hartman almost like 6 or 7 seconds each and every damn play. And you can't do that against that slow mesh concept.
If the only way you can stop that slow mesh and stop those receivers, and stop the quarterback is by blitzing, you're going to be in trouble against Wake Forest. You have to be able to stop them with 4 and 5. And the fact that they wasn't able to do that was pretty much the game. I mean, once I figured out that you wasn't going to be able to, like, once Wake was peeling off 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards of clip running the football, I mean, you're pretty much dead in the water. You know what I'm saying? Because now they can do whatever they want to do against you. You can't have that. I mean, Clemson made a one-dimensional for like 3 quarters. You know what I'm saying? That game, Clemson made a one-dimensional. The 4th quarter, of course, Wake started running the ball a little bit better because Clemson got out of stop crowding the line of scrimmage a lot. But, Briggs, somebody put Briggs also. I mean, that was a perfect game for you to be better. Wasn't better. I think Josh Farmer gave you a little bit more than Briggs did yesterday. So
yeah. That injury to Briggs, that he's still coming. You can just tell he's still coming back from that. And then I know some people want to move on the inside. I would still keep him on the outside until basically it's who else are going to put on the outside if you move him inside.
Yeah, but like this right here, Big Coop needs Fabo to thrive. I mean, if that's the case, then he's not an alpha D tackle in his 6th year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you have to put anybody next to Tim Jernigan or Eddie Goldman. I think they would just be Tim Jernigan or Eddie Goldman. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I feel that.
So what we're talking about is a marginal ACC player at this level. We're not talking about an NFL guy. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you need to be better, man.
And probably Andy's would tell you the same damn thing too.
Yeah, 100%. So let's go to this kicker situation. I think did we say enough good things? I think we said that the loss wasn't that bad. I think we said they didn't have a great plan. Team fought hard, played hard. We got all the cliche stuff out, right? Let's get to the kicker situation. Why does Norvell keep sending that guy out there? Like, what's going on out there? What seems to be the issue? Like, why we keep sending the kicker out there?
To get him some confidence? Listen, it's specialists and kickers. That's the most mental kind of game. It's like a bullpen picture. The moment you get the yips, or the moment you let the other team get inside your head, you're done. You're done for the rest of the game.
Yeah, we saw Aguayo lead the NFL because of that.
Exactly. And Aguayo was the most accurate kicker in the history of college football. And then you see Georgia Tech. I think that was the game that broke him. And then to me, with Ryan, you see the missed field goals. I think he's missed 4 so far this year. And then you see the missed extra point. It's getting to a point now where it's just like, for his own sake, you need to just let him get practice somewhere else. Because right now, we're getting into games right now where we're able to get away with leaving points on the field against LSU, against Louisville. You saw that happen
BC.
against Wake. Yeah, against BC. You see that happen against Wake. We left at least 6 points on the field. That would have been a much different game if we hit those field goals. Now, I also don't understand why Mike had him kick the 55-yarder, because if you didn't give him any sort of confidence for the extra point, why the hell would he have confidence for a 55-yard field goal? Because that's also a far kick to begin with. To be honest with you,
So that was the part that I didn't understand. Right? Okay, I'm okay with you saying I'm not going to kick an extra point here. I'm going to go for 2. Right? I'm actually okay with that thought process. But you can't come back then and kick the 55-yarder. You can't come back then and kick the 55-yarder. And the bigger problem is on third down, when you know you got 2 downs to get the first down, why are you dropping back so far to get sacked like that? You know what I'm saying? Like the play call before that made no sense whatsoever. It's like situationally it didn't make any sense. So because you got 2 downs, so you could throw a flare pass to Pittman, or you could throw a 5-yard dig, a 10-yard dig to Johnny Wilson. You know what I'm saying? Because you got 2 downs to do it. The play call it made no sense, and I'm just kind of curious. And it's one of those things where I do be feeling like, and Norvell's not the only one that does it, because I watch this across college football. And I told somebody this other day ago, we were talking about college football coaches versus NFL coaches. I was like, you know what? NFL coaches are light years better than college football coaches. It's one of those things I've realized, like since Urban Meyer got fired from the Jaguars, I kind of realized this. I'm like, NFL coaches make the most complex thing look very, very simple. They do the most simple things, right? If all my team can run is man-to-man cover 2 zone, they'll run that same shit over and over and over and over and over again. They don't do anything more to that. I just feel like Norvell in certain situations is like, I feel like he's just searching through that little playbook, man. And I don't understand what the play calling and why it is sometimes. I just don't get that.
It's some of the tense moments. One of the things is where it's whenever the game gets really closer, you need to kind of basically do some of the simple things, but you need to close out the game. Is where he basically kind of shoots himself in the foot. Is right. Where basically, a lot of people were mad about against LSU. Why are you calling that pitch play? Why are you calling that sort of like fade route over to Micah Pittman when you're short receivers when you have another player on the outside too? Right. So to me, it's also like sometimes you have to question his play calling when he's not up by 20, 30 points. You have to question his play calling when he's down by 4 or only up by 3, where he's sometimes it feels like he's playing not to lose, but also he tries to get a little bit too cute. He's like kind of stuck in the middle, and like that's why we always say, like we said earlier, that he's still learning on the job of what to do for overalls with his team.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a mess. So, but I mean, this season is going to be very interesting. These next 2 games, man, whew, these D-lines scare me, though. And I know a lot of people keep claiming for Armello to get in. Do you want Armello to have the same career track that Darius Washington have right now? You kind of want to sit that guy as long as possible, man. You playing true freshman. And this is why I say this all the time. When you recruit in the 20s, some of you true freshmen are not going to be ready to play, okay? Mm-hmm. They're going to need a year, okay? That's why you recruit in the 20s. If you recruit in the top 5 levels, top 5, top 7, top 8, you might have some guy that's ready to play right away. You know what I'm saying? It's a different level of recruiting. I'm not saying Armello's not going to be good. He could be great, but it might take some time. And from what I hear at practices, he wins some, he lose some, but you got to ask yourself this question. If he's not assignment sound and he blows blocks, and then you get Jordan Travis killed on one play, because it only takes one play, mm-hmm. and he's out for the season, what does your season look like? So you can't just say, I'm going to just put this freshman in and let's see what happens. Like, you can't just see what happens, because what could happen is a torn ACL, a bad back. We watched Tua last week. Those hits that he took wasn't even that devastating, but it was enough. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. I mean, you're right about that. And then also you're saying with Armello, like losing, like he's winning some reps, losing some reps. This is against a defensive line that's also super injured, and also we see them yesterday not getting much push up front. So if
they haven't been great.
They haven't been great. So
you want to put them against Clemson and NC State? I mean, seriously, y'all want to put Armello against Clemson and NC State? I mean, I don't.
That's mean, man. I'm not doing that to the kid.
Yeah, man. That's a nasty group to play against, man. So, yeah, I'm going to stay away from the NC State situation. Somebody said, wait for NC State and Clemson not elite. I beg to differ. I think in this conference they are. In this conference they're elite, right? And for the most part, I told somebody I would have picked Wake to beat LSU, they played them game one. I would have. You know what I'm saying? So I think Wake is personally, I think Wake's a top 10 team, top 15-ish, top 10-ish. You know, not a lot of good teams out there.
And also the line between like 10 and like 30 is also so small too. Like it's not that big of a difference. A top 5 or top 5, but everybody else is like you're this much.
Yeah, but I'm gonna take the 30-year-old quarterback against pretty much mostly everybody he play against.
That man's got a social security checks coming in, an AARP card coming in the mail. Like, come on now. Like, he's been there forever. Like, I call him Rod Skinner 2.0 because he's been there since literally like 05.
Wow, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So as we look forward, we got NC State next week. And they looked pretty well. Clemson made them look really bad. But man, DJ Ungule, man, he's coming along. He don't look like the same guy. He looked like a better player. But what do you think about the NC State matchup?
Devin Leary hasn't been playing that well at all. And that's mainly like I know that the Clemson defense is pretty stifling, but heading into that game yesterday, Devin Leary was bottom 5 in the ACC in QBR of 49. Devin Leary came into the year as the ACC favorite for player of the year, offensively and also overall. To me, Devin Leary has struggled immensely. I mean, you see the offensive line is still playing decently well, but it's nowhere near the same with Ike Ekwonu, who went over to, I think he went over to the Panthers. And to me, just looking at it, NC State's defense is very, very damn good. That's going to be a problem. But offensively, if you're able to stifle them similarly, how you're able to stifle, I guess, somewhat, not BC, but like maybe LSU a little bit more, because Devin Leary can move, but he's more basically not making mistakes. If you make him make mistakes like Clemson did last night, that's actually a much more winnable game on offense. But it's going to be, you thought this game was kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah. This game against State is going to be probably one of the more uglier games we're going to watch all year.
Yeah, I think so too. The Leary thing is weird because I think Leary's really, really good, but I think that offense does him no favors. Like they do not, they throw the balls to the running backs way too much. The only thing I will say, they won't be picking on our wide receivers as much. I mean, our cornerbacks as much. So that matchup favors us a little bit. But I am concerned about them running the football at us. I'm concerned about that because, I mean, even though I think our linebackers are good, a linebacker can only take so much of you getting guards and stuff to the second level blocking them. And if our defensive line, Fabo's not back and our defensive line is not playing better, man, by next game, that's going to be a problem because they don't mind running the football over and over again and, you know, putting your linebackers in conflict. So we're going to see. I personally, I think I'm going to pick us to beat NC State. I'm wait. I want to see. The real problem with this is we don't get an injury report.
No.
And we got two guys that basically change the line for us every week. You know, with Robert Scott and Fabo right now, they would change the lines. You know what I'm saying? They both of them got to be worth at least 4 points.
Yeah, I think Robert Scott's worth like 7. And I think like with Fabo, because Fabo does so much for Fabo, and that's why like I think some NFL draft scouts were not as high on Jermaine Johnson. Like I thought he should have been drafted higher, but if you watch the tape, Fabian Lovett allows everyone around him to not only do their job, but do their job effectively and fundamentally sound. And to me, Fabian Lovett is the reason why this defense was going to be kind of the way we saw it. Also, you were saying the offseason hype for the defensive line. Yeah. With that, not him there, it's kind of like you want the next man to step up, but you can't moneyball an entire defensive line. You can moneyball one spot, but you can't moneyball 3 spots on the interior.
Yeah. They got to get him back.
Yeah, we need our boy, man.
We got to get him back. We cannot.
We miss you, man.
Yeah, we got to get him back. So I don't know. I don't feel so good about it, the matchup, but I think I'm gonna wait till about Thursday or Friday, and I'll have my pick in. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'll probably go FSU this week, but it's in Raleigh too. It's in Raleigh.
It is, but
I just, man, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It is going to be tough. And Brandon,
I know I said we're 7. It's early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. My bad.
Well, I don't think Vegas will move the line that much, but to us, I think Robert Scott, if you put Robert Scott and Fabo together, I mean, 4 to 7 points ain't crazy, to be honest with you. 4 to 7 ain't crazy to me. So, it says FSU pass defense. Yeah, man, but we get into the heart of pretty good quarterback play, pretty good teams now. I think I said on this pod earlier that FSU is catching some teams early and at the right time. I felt like we was going to catch LSU at the right time. I felt like we caught Louisville at the right time, to be honest with you, which I think that might be a disaster. It's not a disaster. Those kids play hard, but they just don't have enough talent. You know what I'm saying? I think.
We talking about Louisville?
Yeah, like people keep saying that I don't think Satterfield's a bad coach per se.
Oh, I think he's awful, but that's just
You
me.
do? I don't think he's a bad coach per se, but I just don't think they have enough talent, and I think the clock is running out on him. So they do play hard for him, though. I mean, they play hard for him. I mean, they in every game. They just lose at the end.
They did it, but they also just lost to the worst team in the ACC. I mean, with Boston College. I mean, I don't know how you allowed Furter-Kovic with that offensive line, who has one walk-on starting, another PWO that actually had to come in the game yesterday and allow them to score 35 points. Zay Flowers is a monster. I'm not taking anything away from him. Just feed him the ball, but can't stop them at least for less than 20 with that. Like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that defense coordinator is terrible. They tried to hire Randy Shannon. So Randy Shannon said. So Louisville's a disaster. They're walking disaster. They gotta fire their coach. Jeff Brum probably get that job. You know, he's been waiting. Buyouts getting kind of low, so should be able to get that job. Wait a little bit in NC State this season. Yeah, I agree with that. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Wait was a top 2 team in the conference. I thought the ACC conference champion. I thought the ACC team that the Atlantic was won last week. I thought personally, that's how I felt. But we'll see. Wake has a lot better than NC State on defense. Yeah, that's true too.
That's fair. I mean, we're going to see them play very soon.
But that's our problem, though, right? That's more of the problem, right? Wake don't have a good defense, but you only scored 21 points on Wake. That's a problem, right? Mm-hmm. That's the issue. So, NC Eastern State front row, yeah, definitely gonna be a problem. Don't ever want to see. Well, I mean, Pat Payton, I don't think was terrible, but I mean, like I said, nobody's really run the ball at him yet. I mean, they not really. Leonard Warner playing at any time is terrible. Lions, I don't know. Just another.
I mean, those first two will be good probably later on, but they're super young with Leonard Warner. I don't mind him on the line mainly because if he's no more than a rotational piece or someone to give a breather in garbage time, that's when I want to see Leonard Warner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. What did you think about Adam Fuller's playing yesterday coming into the game?
I'm not a biggest fan of Adam Fuller, but like overall to me, I'm just sick and tired of like us feeling like he makes the first half always just look basically never having adjustments, ahead of time. And also to me, we saw the defensive backs play way too far off the ball, giving them way too much room to operate when the wide receivers are of the caliber of Wake Forest.
Right.
But you did see the adjustments. You did see basically a lot of times the players were in position to actually succeed and they just didn't execute. And primarily you can look towards Ronaldo Green got Moss on the 1 TD. I feel like that was really good coverage. It was a great catch by the wide receiver.
Right.
But then the one drop by Greedy Vance, not the drop, the Greedy Vance pass with the third down conversion that he could have actually easily picked. Yeah. Like there were a lot of times where, yes, Adam Fuller, scheming wise, I think he gave them way too much cushion. Troy was way too worried about protecting the long ball, which we've seen all season, actually defensively. But then you also see where the secondary and some of the players actually were in positions to actually excel, but they basically dropped the ball, for lack of a better term.
He don't like his defensive backs.
He doesn't.
Yeah. I think that's very obvious. He don't like those defensive backs. I don't think any of them like those defensive backs. I don't think man, that's tough. I don't want to be too critical of Amari and Cooper and some of those guys, but I just don't think they're in love with their defensive backs. They show teams immense respect on the outside. I say that.
That's why they went all offseason like trying to find like 2 or 3 more defensive backs. That's what they did all season for.
Yeah, and man, I don't. But what is that though? Because those guys were highly thought of. I mean, Cooper highly thought of. I mean,
Cooper's also come back from an injury. To be fair.
Yeah, the guys are highly thought of though, and that Greedy Vance isn't very good. Of course, he's gonna get Moss. He's like 5'11", 5'7", ain't even 5'8", 5'8", 5'9".
He should have knocked down that was the play where I'm like, yeah, that game's over. Mainly because that was the one chance I'm like, we need a turnover, we need something. Mm-hmm. At the worst, knock that down. It just went right through. It went right through his hands. I'm like, you almost had it by this much.
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I doubt we ever see Travis J play at FSU, personally.
Agree with that.
Which is sad.
Which is sad. Which sucks. Which is really sad.
Because I really like Travis J. I really thought he was going to be less than 800 pounds between the three. You're talking about offensive line. Okay. But anyway, man, this was great. You know, I have to get you on again, man. I really do appreciate you coming through. If you are here, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share the pod. Good 40 minutes. Well, not even 40 minutes. It wasn't a lot to talk about. It's really aggravating watching them lose that game yesterday. I just, you know, but you probably got beat by a better team. So, you know, and that's hard to say. It's hard to eat the fact that Wake Forest is the better team. You know what I'm saying? But,
yeah, because the name is Wake Forest. They're the smallest Power 5 school in the entire conference, entire country. Like it sucks. And something that I heard earlier this week from Max on Seminoles, like the brief was, he said that this isn't your mom or your dad's Wake Forest team. They're not. They're actually a very damn good team. Now their defense isn't great, which is more concerning about the offense. Probably Sam, we'll talk about that more later on the week and everything else. But to me, it's like this wasn't detrimental. Like I'm not as upset as probably I was during the game, but it sucks. But we move on to the next one. And NC State, to me, there's definitely some things on that team that we can exploit and probably win that game.
Yeah, I think you got an opportunity to win that game. They're not as their strength plays against your strength. You know, I thought with Wake, their strength played against your weakness, to be honest with you. And that's why I thought it was more of a problem. So yeah, FSU's missing guys. This AZ, the McCall thing, man. I think y'all got these guys. These guys are not Jalen Ramsey. And not a lot of Jalen Ramsey. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're playing their best guys. I do. I think they're playing their best guys. I mean, I would like for Lundy not to be playing the pass coverage ever again. I've been saying that for 3 years.
Just send the men towards the line. 20 yards downfield. I'm like, is that DJ Lundy? That's literally what's my response to that.
Yes, it is. Yes, he is. And he's got turned around. Don't take much to get him turned around. Them hips are very slow. So, yeah. So yeah, I think we'll see, man. AZ times. I think AZ. I probably would start playing him a little bit more, but against Clemson, it's going to be ugly. It's some bad matchups against Clemson, man. That's the other team that got enough wide receivers to make you look bad again. So
I think it's more DJ putting in better spots because I'm not as high on Clemson's wide receivers.
Really? I think they've between the tight ends and wide receivers this year, I think the
tight ends are better, but the wide receivers, I'm still it's not. I don't know. And God is okay.
Yeah, I like those wide receivers over there. They're big, strong. You know, they got a slot guy again. You know, they always better when they got a slot.
So, that's fair.
Yeah. So I think AZ is coming around, but you know, AZ is a true freshman, man. It takes time. So, you know, sometimes the answers is what y'all see on the field, man. Those are the answers, and you just got to get better at what you're bad at. So we'll see, man. But this was the Listen Up podcast. Hey, again, Tally, I appreciate you coming on short notice. Appreciate you. So, hey, if y'all here, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a go nose in the comments. And I'm gonna try to get one out this week. Brandon's gonna be on sabbatical for the whole month of October, I think. So I gotta find a co-host for the month. So, sure, if you sound a little different, but I appreciate you guys, and we'll be back.